Okay, well, welcome to the after dark commute, or I should say before first light commute. I figured nobody's done a video of the rocket in the dark or on the typical commute, so I thought I'd see what it's like, basically. And it's you can see the moon up there, hopefully. It's still early morning, just coming up to 7:30. It's about 43 degrees, and check this out. Those high beams are bright, right? Nice for spotting deer this early in the morning. Clouds look nice and clear, seem to stand out more than they do in the daytime. And look nice. I suppose I could put my heated grips on, but don't feel too bad at the moment. Coming up to a school, so keep it under 25, and a good test immediately if it's low speed prowess. Nice policeman's waving me on. And this is when things like the cruise control, which is standard, comes in handy. Just keeping the speed down in the school zone. And yeah, so my commute is a bit suburban. I don't live in a city, and I don't have any major freeways to go on. But equally, I don't work in a rural area, so we won't be going past any fields full of cows and being stopped by tractors in our wake. Instead, it'll be a suburban mix, and I should think that's fairly typical of many people who commute. So hopefully you'll find this of some interest at least. I'm running the GoPro Hero Black. I'm not sure how well this works in low light conditions. So I don't think I've done an after dark video before for ride on, so hopefully it's coming through fairly clear on the visuals. So far pretty nice, actually. Seat feels comfortable, engine's tractable. It's definitely a bike you need to do miles on this. I think a lot of people will ride a demo bike around the block and not get it. They'll think, I don't know, I could feel it didn't steer that well, I could feel the weight, the throttle response was jerky, whatever, and that, you have to kind of get a bit used to it and realise that actually the fueling is very smooth, the throttle response is nice. It's just that you're going to get a lot of power when you open that throttle, and also you have to ride this thing. It's a bit of a manimal, and you have to show it who's boss. These things are not called muscle bikes for nothing. You have to muscle them around and use a bit of counter steer to get them to steer. Also, the bike comes with the lowest rear preload setting. I suspect that's to kind of help the shorter stature, but ultimately the back end is a bit low, a bit like the Diavel really, as standard, and both of those bikes do need extra loading up with preload, in my personal opinion. So it doesn't matter what bike you ride, you always get stuck at the lights, right? The nice thing with the Rocket is you don't spend much time getting through the lights. It's a nice fast bike for that kind of condition. another school coming up. The school zone starts particularly early here. It's actually flipping miles away from the sign, but what are you going to do? I'm quite glad they have the school zone signs fairly early, and that the speed is fairly low at 25, because to be honest with you, most people in cars end up going through them 10 mile an hour faster than the signed speed limit, and as such, you know, hitting a child at 25 miles an hour or hitting them at, you know, 35 miles an hour can be the difference between a broken leg and a irreparable broken head. So I don't have an issue with it. I'd sooner they throw the book at people speeding outside school zones on a wet Wednesday afternoon than they do, you know, booking you for doing 100 miles an hour on the freeway on a perfectly sunny day mid-afternoon when everybody's working away in their office, you know. Hey, but that's just me. Right, away from the school, increase the speed a little bit. Now, running in revs on the Rocket is just not an issue. It's a much quicker bike than anybody needs for commuting, obviously. Although personally I do find 2.5 litres is the absolute minimum for commuting and popping down to the grocery store and back. One thing I wish it had was backlit switchgear, which it's kind of like semi-backlit, but the key switchgear isn't backlit. So being fairly new with the bike, I'm having to think now, you know, which way do I push the cruise control? Where's the heated grips again? It's would be nice if they were a bit more backlit, like the Tiger or something like that. I guess, to be honest with you, they don't expect you to be commuting on this bike as much. Of course, heated grips is a discreet little button in the actual grip itself, which is nice. It's one press, it comes on heat setting 2, and you press it again, it goes down to, oh, actually 3 I think, and it goes down to 2 and 1. You're going left, that's good. So my heated grips on now, and they're already starting to put a little bit of heat through. And of course, with heated grips, they tend to heat the palms of your hands and not your fingers, or the tops of your hands, which but it all helps. And although I'm not wearing them this morning because it's not quite cold enough, I bought some wireless heated gloves for winter use this year, and I can say that's been money well spent. In fact, I bought some after one of the ride-on crew. Jerry bought his. I bought the same ones, and then another guy that rides with us regularly, Bill, on his multi-strada, he went and bought some, and we balked a bit at the cost. These things aren't cheap. I think about $225 or something, but hey, when it's like 32 degrees and your hands are nice and toasty, it seems money well spent. So I'm running Waze on the GoPro, on the iPhone, and if you're just going from A to B and you want to get there as soon as possible, it's really hard to beat Waze compared with any other navigation software, I feel. And so we tend to use that, and I always use that as a backup, typically to running the Garmin when I'm on the GSA. So what I typically do there is, you know, if we're out for the day, we'll typically be stopping somewhere for coffee, somewhere for lunch and stuff, and I'll put those in the in Waze as a planned route, save it as a planned route, and then basically if there's any problem with the main GPS, I can just flick over to the Waze, put in the next planned route, and have that pop up basically. Get me to the next stop. Although with the Garmin, of course, if you've got a multi-waypoint route, you can always just skip the next waypoint, which is the little squiggly arrow on screen if you've not sussed that one out and you're new to Garmin. Well, this is pretty effortless. You can just almost treat the Rocket like an auto. It's in 4th gear, and you know, it's just comfortable cruising. Or if I want a bit of power, you just open it, just a microism even of a turn, and it will rocket forward, to coin a phrase. Those heated grips are feeling very nice now, I must admit. Don't necessarily need them, but they do feel nice. A little bit of comfort, a little bit of luxury. I like to, when you stop at the lights, take your palms off the heated grips and just rest your fingers on the edge. Kind of warm up the tips of your fingers a bit. So getting back to commuting on the Rocket, well, the mirrors are excellent. I don't know how much the camera's picking up, but you know, you can barely see the edges of your elbows in a bulky winter jacket, and they remain vibe free and clear, so you can really see the police. I mean, you can really see the people coming up behind you, and that's no bad thing. If you can see, if you've got a tailgater, you can move to one side and let him through, so they don't accidentally run in the back of you, which you never want. And really good when you're changing lanes on the freeway, which we kind of forget on modern bikes. You know, you're hacking along at, you know, a fair old clip, and you kind of think, you know, nothing's faster than me, and then all of a sudden some big German supercar come thundering past you 30 miles an hour faster than you're going. So it's really good having good clear mirrors to look into, and the Rocket's excellent. Well, I'm the only bike I've seen so far today, which is a bit sad really. I think it's I suppose a reflection of modern times, but it's such a nice way to go to work. You know, you got the smells of this beautiful pollen to my right, I can smell some freshly cut grass, and you see things differently, you know, see things slightly differently through a visor and through a windshield. In my windshield, my car would probably be half asleep listening to my playlist, but equally, if I wasn't making a vlog, I'd have the Cardo intercom on, and I'd be getting Siri to talk to my iPhone and play my music playlist for me. And it's been a revelation for me in the last year, moving to intercoms. Had a Cena, which was just a nightmare in terms of reliability and problems and quality, and this year we moved to most of us actually I ride with regularly, with the exception of Eric. We all moved to Cardo Backtalk Bolds, which is the mesh intercom, and it's just awesome. The connection is so strong. Once you get your head around the groups and whose group you're joining, actually pairing is a breeze. The clarity is superb, the big JBL speakers are excellent, and it's really easy to control your phone via Cardo commands or Siri. So really easy to make phone calls, really easy to play music, really easy to skip tracks and pause music and set reminders for yourself in the reminder app, and all that kind of stuff is just all voice control. It's just awesome. There's no button pressing and thick winter gloves on tiny micro buttons to press or any nonsense like that. It's all natural speech, and it all works perfectly well. When I'm using Cardo, I have to put on a kind of crappy fake American accent, but when I do, all the commands work perfectly, and of course Siri is attuned to your natural speaking voice anyway, so no problems there. So no problems so far on the Commute. I think the lights are very bright. LED lights on the bikes are excuse me, bit of coronavirus kicking out there. The lights on the bike are very bright as we start coming into daylight. A lot of people are asking why the North America bikes have the round turn signals rather than the thin LEDs the European bikes have. The reason for that is just the DOT regulation here. They've got to be a certain size and shape. They are still, however, LEDs, and Triumph has done a beautiful job of making them look period, and also putting a modern design swirl in the actual lens cover themselves. And personally, I prefer them to the long thin LEDs that Europe seem to get. I've had a lot of those in the past and really liked them, but now they look a bit I don't know, just kind of, you know, been there done that kind of thing. Just dispatch a few of these cars, which is just so effortless. This fourth gear is the ideal commuting gear, I'd say. It's just no problem. You know, it's very smooth. That's what I'm trying to say. It's very smooth and comfortable, and a nice kind of cruise gear, as though you're on a custom cruiser. And then when you go to roll it on, you don't need to knock it down a gear or build up some speed. You just roll on the throttle, and getting some looks from the boy race on the right. You just roll on the throttle and the bike will just bound forwards like a playful puppy. One thing I do notice riding this bike is when you stop at the lights, people do look at the bike, and also at gas stations as well, and just general places where you stop in the town and grab a cup of coffee or whatever. You see people outside the coffee shop looking at the bike, pointing, smiling. It's quite creates a lot more interest than I thought it would, to be honest with you. You know, it's a cool looking bike, and it's obviously a special bike, but it's not outrageously different from a lot of bikes people see on the street, particularly people who don't ride and they're not familiar with motorcycles. I need to get over on the right here. There's a million cars, so guess what, I'll use the trusty fourth gear again, and I just gently roll on, put my turn signal on, gently roll into position. It's a breeze. It's a breeze on the Rocket 3. It's such an unusual engine design, this. I was saying this on a vlog I did the other week, that you know, I've got a straight six twin turbo car, I've got an opposed twin boxer, and now I've got this longitudinal triple. Very, very unique. I only need a V4 and I've got a full house, I guess. Very different from the popular nowadays V-twins, and of course the inline 4 is a super design in terms of efficiencies for manufacturing. Very easy. My bike's only done a couple hundred miles, but very easy to find neutral. Got no issues at all. It's not like when you buy a brand new Harley and you hunt for neutral for 3 days, you finally find neutral and the light goes green. And even though this is a clean sheet design compared with the old Rocket, it cannot be compared in any shape or form, because literally 100% of the components are different. I will say this in terms of a difference: the the gearbox is like night and day compared with that old model. I mean, at the end of the day, you've got massive bits of metal. I mean, we're talking an engine that's literally twice the capacity of my 1250 GSA, which is in itself is a huge engine, right? So trying to make all that buttery smooth is hard work, but I've done a phenomenal job, to be honest with you. The clutch is light, the gears engage really smoothly for such a huge engine, and it's actually pretty smooth at low revs. It can be a little bit lumpy if you're carrying too few revs, like any bike. And it's got quite a tall first gear, quite often going through mini roundabouts in first gear rather than second, or smaller roundabouts I should say. And but you know, given its size and girth and weight and length, it's phenomenal, really. They've really put a lot into developing this bike. This is not something that's going to be on the showroom floors for a year and then they'll stop making it. This is intended as a long-term thing. I need to go left at those lights up there, but they are a nightmare. They take forever to change, and I normally cut through here on the bike and on the car if I commute. And I wanted to see how horrible this was over these speed bumps. Not that good, I'd imagine. Actually, it's not bad. That's alright. I was expecting a violent jab in the derriere, but actually that wasn't too bad. It didn't really feel any worse than my stiffly sprung M2 competition BMW. Nearly daylight now. It's gonna be a lovely day today. Apparently when I go home later this afternoon, it should be around about 65 degrees out here, which will be absolutely awesome. It'll start feeling like spring, basically. Quite pleased about that. So I'm in road mode at the moment, and I do find this is the first bike. I've owned a lot of fast bikes, sometimes the fastest bike in the world at that point in time, and things like the K1300S and an S1000RR, for instance, things like that. And what I found is that this thing has got quite really strong acceleration, as you just saw. However, it is dumbed down a little bit by its weight. It does help though in terms of hooking up traction wise, because that long wheelbase and that fat 240 rear section tyre is not going to spin anywhere without, unless you're riding like a complete dick. So it hooks up nicely and it goes. And back in the real world, that's what you'll want, right? I'm not here to be a stunt monkey. I'm here to get to work safely without high-siding it. And sit here for 3 days now before I can turn into my industrial estate. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Alright, well, I'm nearly at work now, and I just wanted to say that it's been lovely commuting on the bike today. I'll definitely be commuting a lot more this spring summer on the bike than in the car. Well, a lot more on the bike than I do normally, I should say, because it's just nice. It's really refreshing. I've forgotten how nice it was actually. I haven't commuted on the bike for such a long time. I would urge you to get on your bike and try it. Anyway, thanks for watching if you have, and subscribe if you haven't, and ride often, ride carefully, ride on. I hope you're already a Ride On subscriber, but if not, please subscribe straight away. And last but not least, ride often, ride carefully, ride on.